Welcome to Movie Date with Jess and Kait. I'm Jess.
I'm Kait.
And today we are talking Alien. My all-time fave, I think, horror
Any
movie.
movie or horror movie?
Me?
Sorry, right off the bat.
Certainly up there in the top 5. It changes.
Yeah,
I mean, Titanic instantly popped into my head. I do love
yeah,
James
it's got
Cameron.
it all.
I love the Addams Family movies.
Yeah,
I love Little Shop of Horrors. So lots of horror ones do pop up in my
yeah.
fave of all time. And then Lord of the Rings, of course, my birthday movies. They came out for my
That's
birthday.
right.
But we're not talking about all those movies. We're talking about Alien today. We watched the original, directed by Ridley Scott, written by Dan O'Bannon. And this came out in 1979.
Yeah, the theatrical cut.
Yeah, and it was interesting. We actually watched Dan O'Bannon's, I guess, like student film that was directed by John Carpenter, Dark Star, that is also set in space and it's much sillier.
Yeah,
And then he had, I guess, kind of wanted to like redo that idea, that concept, that world in a scarier way. And he killed it.
yeah. I like Dark Star too. I thought it was good.
Well, he's like a silly goof because Dan O'Bannon also did Return of the Living Dead, the one where they're like in the graveyard and they're all
Yeah,
like
the one
dancing
chick
on the
skit.
car. Yeah. And the alien in Dark Star is like a circle.
Like a beach ball.
It's like a beach ball that's just
Yeah,
like burp, 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 burp. So Alien, then this creation,
yeah,
which of course it's so easy with this movie to go off on a million different tangents about all the incredible
yeah,
people who made it. Because
yeah,
then H.R. Geiger
yeah.
made all of the art for it.
There's like a really good documentary about H.R. Geiger too, and it kind of talks about some of the alien stuff. But yeah, it's just all of any like the alien itself and then the ship. So much of it is his is like directly from his art.
Yeah.
Um,
And they kind of
yeah,
all look like they're of one world. And the alien like looks like the ship. And like this time watching in particular, I really thought like, wow, he really looks like the ship. And then he's doing like
yeah.
sneaky stuff where he's like hiding in the ship.
In sci-fi movies, when they have a shot of a ship from far away to make it look more like complicated and less smooth, they add little doodads, and they're called greebles. And it's just the word for like making things look more complicated on the surface of a ship, basically on
Just
in
adding
sci-fi
little
stuff.
blings and blurs.
Adding little like squares mostly. It's
Yeah.
like little like things that make it look like it's enormous. And that's really what the Nostromo is like, the USS Greeble. It's like so
The ship's so
crazy.
cool in it too, because I mean, we'll get into it, but it like moves so slowly in comparison to even like Star Wars. I feel like a lot of the times it's very quick. I mean,
Yeah.
especially when they're like fighting each other. But this ship is always just kind of like slowly falling to its like doom, different places, or just like
Yeah.
almost being like sucked in, and
It
like
really
it's
takes the
scary.
time. And it also makes it feel more massive, like it feels like a giant nautical ship almost. Feel like
Yeah.
a giant ship that was like a freighter carrying mining stuff would be it would be massive, and it would take forever to break, and it would take forever to speed up. Like the momentum would be really slow because it's just the mass of it is huge.
And also start talking about Star Trek, like this one is so like a working man's, like the people in Star Trek are so like heightened and polished and they're like
Yeah.
officers of the future and like thinking about the well-being of humanity. And this is very like probably what actually our space travel would be like, is
Yeah.
like this corporate entity just has these like blue collar dudes who now like work off and go mine stuff and tow shit in space.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, kind of,
They're just like concerned about their contract and
and
then
money.
yeah. Yeah.
Which I relate to.
Yeah.
Some amazing actors in this one. We have the Sigourney Weaver. Oh, madly in love.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
she's so
pictures
great.
I see of her and like my breath truly, I'll see the same ones, those like black and white ones of her where
Yeah.
she's just like, and
It's true.
I die.
I
I
can
have
hear
a
you
mini death.
I can hear you gasping for isn't that what the French call orgasms?
See, we.
Oui. Oui, oui.
Um, John Hurt, who doesn't have the same effect on me, but is a very good actor.
Mhm.
Harry Dean Stanton, Ian Holm, Yafet Koto, Veronica Cartwright, and then the man who is inside the xenomorph, Balaji Badejo.
Cool.
And he's like a 6'10" guy who I guess they just like saw kind of walking around and was just like, "You're absolutely perfect." And
Like,
he really brings it to life.
yeah, where did they find him from, like,
I think
trying
I
to
saw a
cast?
thing he wasn't like an actor. I think he was trying to be like a graphic designer or something.
Oh,
They
wow.
just like that's so many stories I feel like back then is like I saw like especially with like horror stuff.
Yeah.
I
Like,
saw
I
this
saw a
really
giant
interesting,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're the biggest dude I've ever met.
Yeah.
Come be in this movie.
Yeah.
But they all absolutely kill it. They are the entire cast that we'll meet the whole time. We'll be talking about the crew, so I'll set them at the top, but we may say like their actor name or just call them all the crew. There's Ripley, who is our lead lady. Dallas is kind of like the daddy captain of the ship. Um,
Just the captain.
he's the daddy.
Yeah.
Lambert is the only other woman on the ship. There is Kane, who is John Hurt. There's Ash, who is like the science officer. And then there's Brett and Parker, who are the very like of all of them, I think the most like working
Yeah.
class. They're supposed to be like the embodiment of those
They
guys.
seem almost like mechanics
Yeah.
yeah, sort of guys on the ship.
Cool. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
We open in space and it's eerily quiet. Which the movie is like very, very quiet for a lot of it, or it really plays with sound of just like things being just so quiet and you're like waiting and waiting and waiting, or like long shots on something and you're waiting and waiting, which is so effective then when the thing finally does happen.
Yeah.
There's like light shining from the back of another planet, or like there's a planet in the foreground
Yeah, it's,
and
like,
then the sun.
silhouetted,
It's so cool. I love
and
space.
it's so menacing, it's, like,
Yeah.
very dark, and it doesn't look inviting. It's not like a beautiful Earth or something like that. It's like a big, shadowy planet.
Yeah. Something
Yeah.
is like looming over
Mhm.
them. And like there's just like lines at the top of the screen that look like they're
Well, there's,
kind of
like, the one right in the
nothing.
middle, like, very monolithy. I'm sure, like, Space Odyssey was, like that's what made me think of, like, this monolith, like, right in the center, and then the other letters start appearing piece by piece, and so you're kind of like, "What is that?" Like, at first obviously, it's the title, like, you know that now, but there's a moment where you're kind of trying to recognize something, so
Yeah,
that's a fun thing just to pull the audience in, to be like, "What am I looking at?" Make them curious, make them, uh, scared.
totally.
Yeah.
I miss slow credits. I feel like now they try to like tell almost like the who, what, where within the credits. I guess people's just move quick, 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 and attention spans are slower. But I love like
I mean, that's what studios say is
moody.
happening to people's attention spans. I
Yeah,
feel like I think like a patient movie, I think people would still appreciate it. That's why they still watch these movies and,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm dead wrong. But I think like studios
You're
are
dead right. The ship is slowly coming towards us, and it's huge, and it feels a little more like of a hunker than a very like sleek, beautiful like ship
yeah,
that you see in other movies too.
yeah.
It's the Nostromo, and it's a cargo ship. And there's like a little thing that they tell you, like words come up on the screen where it's like we're headed back to Earth.
Yeah, it
Um,
tells you the crew, there's 7 of them and like just like basic information as though you're reading it from a computer monitor, like a log or something like
yeah,
that, which is another fun way to like immerse you in it. It feels like you're like reading something like a documented thing that
and sci-fi is
happened.
very like text on screen like that.
Yeah.
We then go inside of the ship and we're like going through the halls and it all feels very like empty and lifeless. Like a lot of the halls kind of like curve and they have like a curvature to them too, but there's no people around. Again, it's like very quiet. There's no noise. We see like a table with like those little like bird dippy in the water thingies,
Yeah.
but that's the only movement that there is. Other than that, it's just like eerie fluorescent lights. They just do such a good job of making it feel like the future, but also so lived in, and a haunted house. It's so good.
Yeah.
We see the cockpit, and there are these like helmets without heads in them. And I picked up on that more this time just because I was like writing notes about it, because then something happens with the helmet where there's like an emergency. and there's something on the screen. Again, nobody's there, but something pops up on the screen, like alerting this crew of something, but seemingly no one is around. So nobody's getting this like alert, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
We then kind of keep going. A door opens. There's like a robe on a wall that kind of like moves a little, almost
Yeah,
like ghosty. And then these really cool, like pods that almost flower out from one another,
yeah.
all open up at the same time. And John Hurt is the first one who kind of like wakes up. I don't know if there's any significance to that for,
As far as him being the first one, I guess he's the first to show up and the first to go.
yeah, first in, first out.
Yeah.
We then do like a hard cut to everybody's like eating around this. They have this like lunch area is just what I'm gonna call it,
Yeah,
or
the
like they're
mess
eating.
hall.
They're That's such a better word. And they're like smoking. There's like a cat on the table. So again, it like feels very like natural workplacey. Um, and then the Parker and Brett are already kind of on everybody. Like the second they get up, they're like, before we dock, we should talk about this like bonus situation. And Dallas is essentially like, you'll get exactly like what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't seem like a great bargaining tool if the job has already been done. You're already in space and you've already done the job to now be bargaining.
I guess you have to deliver whatever it is that they've mined, that whatever minerals, materials that they've mined or something, I don't know. But yeah, it's not,
I think I
it's
would have,
something that they've been like clearly talking about together. Like they look at each other and kind of like do
yeah,
a
yeah.
nod. So maybe it was just something where they're like, we have to bring it up before once we wake up, we'll bring it up or something. Or they've been like dawdling and not dawdling, but like not bringing it up for a while or something.
They're great together too because
I
they
love
seem
them.
like very different.
They're perfect coworker friends. It's like
Exactly.
you
Yes.
have like crazy coworker friendships that you're like, couldn't be more different, but
Like
I
he's
knew.
all right. He's a good guy when you're like
Yeah.
hanging out with your other friends and they ask about him.
Yeah, yeah.
We get an alarm and Mother wants to talk to Dallas. So Dallas and Mother is kind of like the motherboard, right? Like the computer of the ship
Yeah, like the
anytime it's
operating
Mother.
system, yeah.
And he goes into this room that you said like it's kind of shaped like a brain. I
It
thought
made
a
me think of a
honeycomb.
brain. It is like a honeycomb too. It's like the one with all the little lights. And the reason I thought brain too is because it's kind of like pulsating
The lights, yeah, are
a
like
little bit.
covering almost all of it. And they're like, I think brain makes more sense than a honeycomb.
It's both. I think it's supposed to feel like a hive. You're supposed to feel like because they're very contained. It's a pretty claustrophobic ship.
And he's
Yeah.
typing direct responses like in a little computer to Mother. So they're talking like through sentences, which I remember years ago making fun of, like, haha, they don't know like how we talk to computers actually now. But in this year, 2024, we do literally talk to AI like that in full sentences.
Yeah. It makes me think of, do you remember Ask Jeeves?
Yeah, of
I used
course
to
I
like ask like a
do.
full question, like
But you wouldn't get responses like he would chit chat with
No, no,
you.
no.
He would,
There have been like chat bots for a long time. Like when Instant Messenger was a thing, like AOL Instant Messenger, they would have like chat bots that you could be like, we were like little kids. We were like, you like to fuck chickens or something weird, just some weird shit, whatever weirdest shit we could think of.
okay, I missed out on that.
Yeah. It's an essential part of my childhood.
I was just in chat rooms trying to, age set slash sex
We were asking the same thing to real people
classification.
too, probably each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, "This old man's a pervert," and it's just, like, you on the other side.
In the cockpit, they're noticing like a signal popping up, and they're realizing like they thought that they were on a course for Earth, but the system that they're in right now clearly isn't that, and they're like confused why the ship has woken them up in this moment instead of like closer to Earth preparing to like get off and be in Earth. And Ripley kind of keeps insisting like to everybody like, this isn't our system, this is, and so even it's kind of like starting her like calling out things exactly as they are,
Yeah.
while other people are maybe not like totally picking up on what's
They just take
happening.
a lot longer to get to the same right conclusion that she pretty much has throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back in the lunchroom, Dallas lets everybody know. In the mess hall, Dallas lets everybody know. Mother has interrupted her course because they got this signal, which was the one when they were all sleeping, and we like saw it on the computer popping up with nobody there. This like SOS beacon. And Ripley's first thing is like she literally says, like, we don't even know if it's human.
Yeah.
Like we have no idea what this is. But they're basically like, in particular, Ash. Ash is the science guy, and he's very like by the rules, and we do what the ship says.
Yeah, he's like, according to our contract, if we encounter something that's unknown, we have to explore it. Like, we
Yeah.
have to go see what it is.
And more importantly, if you don't agree to do that, you will not be paid for anything.
Yeah.
Which is such a great answer for, well, why would you go and do this? Why wouldn't you just immediately leave? Well, I just spent month. I've been cryogenically,
Frozen, yeah.
frozen to get my ass back to work. I just did this huge job for months that I'm just not going to be paid for.
Yeah.
That's enough for me. So we see the planet that they're about to land on. It kind of like looks like Saturn. It has like rings with a bunch of moons. And the ship is preparing to land. And this is all like very slow, and we like live with it for a really long time. And you see like this storm down on the planet where like the wind is gusting, and the outside of the ship just looks so sick.
Yeah. It's cool.
It's awesome. And it like holds up too.
It looks great. It looks incredible.
It looks better than things that come out now.
It just looks real. Like, it really, the set is incredible. The art direction and the set, or whatever, like the set decoration is nuts.
It was made by an artist.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It looks like it.
It's not just a program of,
Yeah.
So when they land, I kind of got confused by this part. It seemed like one of the legs like hit a rock wrong, and then that just messed up the whole ship.
Yeah, they just, part of the ship is damaged, and then it's gonna take, that's when they're down there, and it was like, "It's gonna take, like, 17 hours to fix." It's gonna take 25 hours to
Yeah,
fix.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which always say more time. Then if you get done early, you
Yeah.
look great. If it took you longer, well then you gave yourself the extra time.
Yeah.
So as they're there trying to like fix the ship, because now they're kind of stuck there, they're still gonna go out and see what this SOS is about. So they like get their suits on. There's like three of them that head out. It's
Dallas.
Kane, Dallas, and does Lambert go?
Yeah, the other woman.
Yeah. And then Ash is in like a little like crow's nest, kind of like looking out on them. And we can see footage from Dallas's camera, kind of like a GoPro. And
Yeah.
Ash can see that the whole time too.
Yeah, he has like radio connection and video connection with
And
them.
Ash is already starting to seem very pumped up. Like as he's going to the crow's nest and like putting a little outfit on, he like does this quick little like run thing. Like he's like psyched about whatever this potential is. Yeah. Oh, then there's this moment with Ripley back on the ship where she's with the two guys, and Parker and Brett are still complaining like, oh, well, if we do this and this all goes well, are we going to get our shares or more shares? And she says something to the effect of like, you're going to get everything that's coming to you.
Yeah.
Which feels very like, dun, dun, dun.
She's also like, they're fucking with her and she's fucking with them right back. Like that loud steam is coming out. And she, like, they're like, what? Like, fucking with her. And she's like, I said, go fuck yourself, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then she leaves, and then he immediately can turn off the steam. And so it's like it's like kind of like it's not like completely like malicious or anything. It's like a bantery kind of a thing.
Yeah. And then Ripley is also asking Ash, she's kind of like going around the ship doing stuff, has Mother identified what's out there yet? So like she knew that it was an SOS. And Ash kind of implies like, oh, I don't know, like you could look into it if you want, and just kind of like leaves her to do her thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have the team on the planet, and in the distance we see a spaceship that looks completely different than theirs. It's almost like a horseshoe.
It's more organic looking. It's round, it's like smoother on the surface, and yeah, it looks like it could be like a living organism or something.
And they are all in agreement that we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, Ash, even Ash, who we'll find out why he has like a vast knowledge of everything. It's not just because he's a science officer, but he's like, I've never seen
He
anything like
seems in awe by it, like
Yeah.
excited by these scientific discoveries is how it's playing out right
Mhm.
now. Although that moment alone, if this whole ship has been going around the galaxy for however long, has never seen something like this, that would freak me out.
Yeah.
We're in the shots from Dallas's helmet, and they do a really cool thing too with the sound where you can like hear his heart beating and like hear his breathing throughout. So that like even though the
Yeah.
ship is totally silent as they get to it and go through it, you
Well,
can
the
like
sound is cool here too, because when they're walking on the planet, it's like super loud howling wind.
yeah.
And then when it goes inside their suits, it's like very quiet. And when they're in the ship, it becomes very quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Lambert, I feel like I'm Lambert. I want to be a Ripley, but I am a Lambert. Because in this moment, she does say, maybe we should leave. And you could like hear the heart beating, a little faster.
Yeah.
And we cut back and forth now between like Ash watching and Dallas's helmet. Once they're inside the spaceship, it does have like a similar, like the hallways are curved, but it looks a lot more like black and shiny and like ribbed as
Mhm.
opposed to like a lot of like lights and buttons and do do
Yeah, the
do's.
Nostromo at least has like a mechanical look overall. Like it
Yeah.
sort of has a look of an like a NASA ship or something like that. And then this one is very organic again in that in its like curves and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sexy shit.
Sexy little I mean, Geiger's all about like everything looks like a dick. It's like
Yeah.
every single thing.
Or a vagina.
Even the vagina is like two dicks together. It's like the penis opens up and there's a vagina inside.
So they make it to one part of the
You
ship.
know?
John Hurt finds this giant skeleton, like the size of four of them, like just this huge creature that's kind of sitting in like a dentisty type chair in a
Yeah,
with
it's
like
like
a
a
telescope that he's looking out on, but
yeah.
everything's like he's dead. And none of that is in use anymore at this moment.
Yeah, he's almost like petrified. It's like a they say he's like fossilized, like he's been there for a long, long time,
Well, Dallas
the
checks it
body.
out and he says the bones are bent outward, like he'd been exploded from the inside out.
Cool.
Not a great.
Yeah.
And then Lambert once again, let's get the hell out
Can
of
we get the
here.
fucking hell out of here?
Um, but they can't because in that moment, Kane finds a little like melted hole in the floor. It's like the shape of like a square, but it's all like trickling down.
Almost as though acid has hit the floor
So their
there.
first thought is, let's hop down there and see what's
I
up.
don't think it's cowardly to be like Lambert. I think that's just your sense of self-preservation.
But you want to be cool and bad and like have the gun and be like
Is it cool to hop down? Is it cool to do what they do right now?
that part, but I want to be the Ripley. I want to be the
Well,
smart one.
Ripley also wanted to get out of there. I
That's
think.
true.
She's like, we can't, do X, Y,
I
Z.
guess we could say also just the women know what's up and the men are
They just have a better spidey sense in this moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Back on the ship, Ripley sees that Mother's message isn't an SOS, it's a warning. So that flashing was not telling them come help. It's like don't come here.
Yeah, Mother's like translating it and it's like 80% translated and Ripley's like, Ash, this is a warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to tell the crew. They're there right now. And Ash is so defensive right away. He's like, what's the point? So he clearly wants this mission to happen.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's
like, by the
hiding
time you
some
get
stuff.
to them to tell them, like the radio signal has kind of like petered out and they can't radio them. So Ripley wants to go and talk to them. And he's like, by the time you do that, they'll be back.
Yeah.
So
We'll probably overplay too in the explanation his like weasel-ness with all of this.
yeah.
But in the movie, it's done very like subtly and well.
Don't
Like,
listen to this first. Go watch it.
yeah, you could like see it two different ways.
Yeah.
Back on the ship, they're lowering down Kane. And when he gets to the bottom, he sees a bunch of eggs. and they're like covered in this mist with like kind of like a laser going
Yeah.
through it, like a laser light show style laser.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if the people who were on this ship before, the Prometheuses, if you're familiar with the world of this, um, did they make that to like incubate the eggs or
I honestly don't remember. I saw Prometheus a lot when it came out, but I haven't watched it since.
yeah.
But I like that there's not I kind of like going into this with not really even remembering that
Yeah.
explanation. Like I don't need all of that spelled out. I think it's just more immersive and fun to be like, this light was there for some
And
reason.
there's like a fog machine
One, that it looks cool as shit, and then
and it does.
also you can like presume that there was some either incubating it or containing it.
Yeah. And these eggs, he of course wants to mess with it. And they're like somewhat transparent. You can't totally see inside, but you can
Mhm.
see like this little thing moving around.
Yeah, it's like we have movement.
So like a little fetus
Mhm.
moment. So why not just kind of poke at it a bit? The top of it opens up, little shop of
Like
horrors,
a flower, yeah.
yeah, style. And then a creature jumps out and at him.
And then it cuts away.
And then it cuts away. So we don't know what happened. We don't entirely know what it looks like. We see that it's like tan and kind of like spider crab wormy.
Yeah.
Um Now we cut to they're bringing the two Lambert and Dallas are bringing Kane, like kind of carrying him back onto the ship. And Ash like runs down. He's like ready to greet him right at the door. And Dallas is like, let us in when they're in kind of like the area right before you can come in.
Yeah.
And Ripley's like, wait a minute, you could be infected. You need to have 24 hours quarantine. And the crew is basically that are stuck out there freaking out, like, he's gonna die. If you don't let us in, like he will die. He needs immediate medical attention. And Ripley holds her ground. She's like, no way, we could all die.
Yeah, if we let him in, we could all die.
We have no idea what this thing is. She is really the only one who like respects that something outside of them could be more powerful or dangerous
She's
or
also just like, at least by the book, it's like this is the legal way to do it.
yeah.
Everybody's so concerned about contracts. Well, this is part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the science, except for the science officer who was so adamant about the contracts before, now he
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, boop, you guys
yeah.
can come in. So he overrides it and opens it up,
Ew.
even though Ripley has said no.
Yeah.
We cut to the like science medical room, and the helmet is still on Kane with like the creature jammed inside of it, and they have to like cut the helmet down the middle just to like
It's been like
get it
melted.
off of him like a little eggshell.
Yeah. Like the
Um
thing melted right through whatever element his mask is made of.
Glass.
Yeah. Who knows? Some futuristic material.
And we see the creature is now on his face. I
Yeah.
always forget that this is the face hugger. Obviously. I was about to say I forget what their
What the
names
hell are you
are.
talking about?
I'm like, there's the face hugger. There's the I won't say the others.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
he's the face hugger because he is literally hugging a face. Um, and they can't quite get him off. They're trying to like get his little like fingers off of it, and
Mhm.
he's just like stuck on there.
It tightens around the tail tightens around the throat of
Um,
King.
and Parker starts asking, like, why don't you just freeze him?
Why don't you freeze him? He's like on the outside of the science like room, and there's like a medical bay that you there's a big window where most of them are looking in.
And Ripley's agreeing, and
Yeah.
like, why aren't we doing this? Like, so freezing him essentially means taking Kane, putting him in a pod where at least he'll be like sealed up safe to when we get back to Earth, and then we can like examine whatever this
Yeah,
is.
but of course
Ash is
Ash
ignoring
doesn't want
him.
to because he doesn't want to damage the tissue of this creature.
Yeah, you want to further the science, is
Yeah.
what we think Ash's goal is.
Mhm.
Instead of freezing him, they're like running different tests on him. And Dallas is kind of confused, like, what would want to paralyze him and like put him in a coma, but also keep him alive? Like, what could that be about? Hmm. Um, and Dallas wants it off of him. Ash is like, no, it could be like keeping him alive. Clearly, Ash is like, let's help this little
Yeah, let's
face
see what it
hugger
wants to
out.
do. But yeah, he's like, if it's helping him breathe, then if we remove it, he might stop breathing. And
Which is
Da
a bad point.
yeah, but Dallas is like, "I don't give a fuck, let's get it off his face,
Yeah.
and I take full responsibility for anything that happens to him."
So Ash cuts one of the fingers,
Yeah,
and it spews out like this milky blood that then shoots
the
onto the
floor.
floor, and it, of course, starts instantly acid dripping, like causing the floor to open up.
Yeah,
And Dallas is on top of it. He's like, if that keeps dripping down, that's going to go through the whole ship. We're going to get a hole on the outside of the ship and we're
yeah,
all like going to be dead. So they're running down, a lot of the crew, just like following the different floors of it, trying to find the end of it.
yeah.
And it finally kind of stops dripping on its own. Like it was a tiny amount, so it wasn't enough to keep going.
But it went through, like, several floors.
Yeah. He said it was like molecular acid. Is that a real thing? There was some
Molecular acid?
molecular acid.
I mean, I guess there's, like, really corrosive acids out there. I mean, I don't know what if anything could this quickly eat through metal, but, um, yeah, I mean, there's probably something, but I don't know if anything this strong.
And Parker's like, it's got one hell of a defense mechanism.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
he's
like,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're about to find out. So Parker and Brett are back at work, like trying to get the ship working because they're still stuck down there. And they're like upset that they have to be there in the first place. And this place is giving them the creeps. So we're already building that to like haunted
Yeah. He's like,
house,
"Let's just finish
spooky
this
monsters
stuff
here.
so we
Yeah,
can get the
something's
hell
going
out of
on.
here."
Um, Then back in the lab, we see kind of like a long shot that zooms around to then like Ash like looking at stuff on a screen and like looking in this microscope. He's clearly like very into this. And Ripley like kind of slowly walks behind him and takes him a little off guard.
Yeah.
And he just seems pissed that she's there. Pretty much any point
He, like,
now.
shuts off the computer
Yeah.
screen so she can't see it, and yeah.
And in this scene, they have a back and forth that basically culminates to like, it's interesting you being the science officer that you don't seem to give a shit about the quarantine, a shit about like what this creature could potentially be doing, and that you stepped over my command and opened up the door.
Mhm.
And he is clearly like pissed with her questioning him about anything
Yeah.
at all, and just kind of like dismisses it. Then he drinks a bunch of milk. And
Yeah.
he just had a she leaves, he has a glass of milk. Okay, so then we cut to a little bit later. Everybody's like chilling. Dallas is listening to like classical music. Ash over the telecom. You guys got to come see something. Something happened with Kane. They all run down. The creature is gone. It just left his face. It's also nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So they're like kind of looking around the room with these like little,
Almost like little cattle prods, sort of like they're flashlight slash
yeah.
electric little, like, tasers.
And Kate, while watching, screamed, "She's wearing Chucks, not Reeboks."
Yeah, I was like, I forgot that her Reeboks are such a thing in the sequel.
I think it's 86 over 79. You're gonna have the
Yeah.
high top
It's
Reeboks.
like, "Oh, you don't have to spend that much money to do a cosplay of Ripley or if
That's right.
just get some chucks."
If maybe someone will be doing that. Oh, so they're like looking around, they're not seeing anything. Ripley then kind of goes over to Kane just to see like how he's feeling. A little tail comes down from the ceiling right behind her and falls on top of her.
Yeah.
She screams. It like just lies on the ground. It's dead. So now we have Ash like dissecting it, and Ripley's like, let's just get rid of it. But Ash, of course, wants to keep it. He wants to do experiments on it. And Dallas is essentially like, I leave the decision up to Ash.
Yeah, he's the science
Yeah.
officer. Yeah.
And so Dallas leaves, Ripley follows him and is basically pissed, like, why are you like letting him make this call? Since when is this like the way that we do things? And Dallas is essentially like, Ash is the science officer and we do what the company tells us to do.
Yeah.
So we're not following like protocol and regulation of what everyone across all companies has to do. I'm just going to do what the company which we didn't even say. And the company's kind of famous. Wayland
Utani.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever say the name of it. It becomes way more once there's like sequels, I feel like. I think I heard somewhere too, like at first it was just like a name put up and they never really thought much of
Yeah, I think it's
like the company plays a role, but it being so like we talk about it. by that name.
Yeah, once they get more into the weeds with, like, the lore and everything, like, in the first one, it's pretty simple. It's like a big corporation wants you to doesn't care about your life and wants to make a profit at any expense,
I'm
and
so happy
yeah.
things have changed.
Yeah, yeah, this movie really showed people the way.
Yeah. But Dallas is clearly, yeah, he's like a kind of a manager who's essentially like, I just do what I'm told. I want to go home,
Yeah.
which I can respect that too. I'm not acting like I'm any better than that. Oh, but in this moment, it's also revealed she's like, why is Ash even, or no. So in this moment, she kind of asks, like, I don't really trust Ash. And have you guys worked together before? Like, what is even the deal here? And he reveals Ash was a last minute replacement for this specific trip.
Yeah, he was like, "I worked with the same science officer for, like, 7 trips, and then he was scheduled to come with us on this trip, and then 2 days before the trip, he was replaced by Ash,
Yeah.
and so I just have to do it because that's what the company says
Yeah.
is what's up."
So at this point, Brett and Parker have the ship going again. It's been 25 hours. We're all good to go. And they leave the planet with the alien. The worst thing they could have done. Then we're in the lunchroom. They're still debating, like, should we freeze him? Should he be put in quarantine? What should we do with him? Ash calls everybody again. Kane is now up. So before the face hugger was off of him, but he was still unconscious. This time he is like up. He's like clearly a little out of it, but back to being
Yeah,
among us. They ask if he remembers anything, and he says like that he had a horrible dream about smothering, and he kind of like loses his track of thought, and then it's just like, where are we? And then so they're all like, we're on our way home. Let's go
yeah.
eat. We'll totally bypass this
Yeah, we'll
crazy
we'll
thing that
all
just
go
happened.
freeze, but first we'll all get a nice big meal, and then,
Yeah.
we'll have fun.
So they are all seated around the table. And they're again, this is like just a fun, great group moment. They're like complaining about the food. And Lambert to Parker is like, well, I don't know why you're complaining. Like, you eat enough of it. So, like, lots of silly, just like coworker stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'd rather be eating something else, which is inappropriate. But it was a different time in
79.
the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
what
was
was it? Yeah.
5,079.
Um,
Smoking cigs and talking about eating pussy at your
yeah.
job.
And as they're all goofing around, Kane starts to like cough a little, and they just think he's got like
So
little
that come
Cheerio
on,
with
baby, the
them.
food's not that bad.
Yeah, yeah. But he keeps going and going. He's hunched over the table, then his back is on the table. He's writhing around. Everyone is, of course, freaking out.
Yeah.
Then, out of nowhere, blood just spurts out of his chest. And everyone is screaming. The blood flies everywhere. It's all over Lambert, me. She's screaming. And then when they look back, now the chest has been opened by this little worm penis
Chest burster.
chest burster with they have silver teeth, right?
This one does, yeah.
Like little, I think daddy version does too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everyone is freaked the hell out. The chest burster wiggles out and then just like
It, like,
runs
looks
away.
around and, like,
Yeah.
and then it runs away and everyone is just, like, speechless.
Which I heard the cast did not know that this was going to happen, or they knew like something, but they
Yeah.
didn't know quite. And I wish I could have been alive before, like, you knew,
I know.
and
It's
just
so,
had it
like,
be this
in
big.
the
It's so effective still, even when you do know,
yeah,
but to have it be like, I remember hearing stories of people like leaving the theater or fainting. Like, it was
I
just
know.
like such a shocking moment.
The closest thing I can think to getting that was watching Hereditary. You
Yes.
know?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I
That's
get some of her.
but nobody, like, got up and left, but everybody when we saw Hereditary the first time,
It was shocking.
spoilers for Hereditary for the next, like, 30 seconds. So, like, when the girl has her, like, vocal tick where she's, like, clicking her tongue, and so a couple of people it was a packed theater, a couple of people were, like, kind of doing that, just
Yeah.
being annoying or whatever. And then after the car scene where she gets decapitated, everybody just shut the fuck up and watched the movie.
You could
Like,
like feel it.
the
Yeah.
mood changed in the theater. It was really cool.
You know, another moments like that, my mom just saw Saul. And at the end, she was like, and then the man got up. Oh my God. I didn't know he was alive.
That's incredible that your mom has never. It's like Reiko watching Beetlejuice. It's like,
Well,
how
Rika,
did you avoid this?
she mentioned she'd never seen this one. So I do want to, I would watch this again with her, even
Absolutely.
if it's tomorrow, like the day after we just watched it. I mean,
Yeah,
I would watch this any day
for
anyway.
sure.
So they're all in the cockpit. Then there's a really sad moment where we see like a screen where there's like a kind of like mummy style wrapped up body. Clearly Kane's is in this like launch thing where once they like open it up, his body just launches off into space. And they're like, does anyone want to say anything? Nobody does because they've
Silent.
just seen the craziest fucking thing they've ever seen in their life.
Yeah.
So now they're kind of want to like go find this little penis worm, chest buster. So Brett is like showing everybody the guns, and then Ash has this device where they can like track the creature based off like wind stuff. I don't know, like when it
He
farts.
said
I
like
have no idea.
micro
Changes in
movement.
air density.
Change, yeah, micro changes in air density. Stop setting off the.
Caitlin.
Really got it.
And Ripley even has a question about this, and Ash is like, "Would you shut up,
Yeah, would you
bitch?
get off
Ask
my
me
ass?
one more thing." Um, Again, I even wrote down the crew is all sweaty. Like they just look like normal people in such a
Yeah.
great way. Like if this movie was made today, or like, yeah, they're all like hotties
They
in
all have like
space.
normal teeth. I always notice that now when I watch like 70s and 80s movies. I'm like, I feel like I'm watching a real person because their teeth are not weird. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, whatever. I don't want to say weird. If you want veneers, go knock yourself out.
yeah.
Knock your teeth out. So,
Oh
so
my god.
go ahead. But I think it really takes me out of it when every single person is like,
They're just so polished when they're
yeah,
supposed to be like working people who can't afford to have injections in their lips and yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah,
takes me
yeah,
out of it for sure.
yeah.
So Ripley, Parker, and Brett are like walking down a hall with no lights. And she has like the little detector, and she notices something that's in a locker. And so they kind of all like prep and they're ready, like, okay, we've like cornered it. They open it up. It's the cat.
Jones.
It's Jonesy. And Jonesy's, I guess we didn't credit Jonesy at the top. Jonesy is great in
Yeah,
this.
very good.
Jonesy runs away, Jones. I call him Jonesy.
Mm.
Um, and Parker is like, we actually do have to catch the cat now
Yeah,
because
he's
it's
like,
just
you
gonna,
idiot, you
yeah.
got should have caught that because now we're just gonna see it on the screen
Between
again.
the cat and the farts, this machine's not gonna work. So we gotta go get the cat. So Brett goes off
Yeah, Brett's
alone.
like, it was just the cat. Like I thought that was such a nice. The character's like, it's just the cat.
Yeah.
He's like, go get it, idiot.
So Brett is like leaves them, looks around this like boiler room with these like chains that are falling down from the ceiling, and it's also like raining there.
Yeah, I guess like I was like, what would it be? I guess it could be like a coolant situation.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to, keep some area of the ship cool, and that's why there would be like condensation or water or something.
Some of the space stuff is it's just space
It's
stuff.
also yeah, it's
The
space
alien we're
stuff.
about to find too is a gooey dude on his own.
He's
Or
a
like
gooey
he's a
dude.
wet, like, he's a wet guy.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very wet movie. It's like on par with as wet as Hellraiser. Love those, yeah, wet
I was
haunted.
thinking too, the chains, we're getting
It's a haunted house. You said it. You were like, this is a haunted house. Or haunted houses are trying to be this.
yes, with especially when we get towards the climax and like the flashing lights, and I'm like, this feels like the haunted house we were just at, running down a hall
Yeah.
with flashing lights and fog hitting you in all directions, and you're like, ah. The Brett finds of course we get another jump scare. Jonesy comes out, runs somewhere else.
Yeah.
Brett goes to look for him, finds this like condomy snake skin on the ground.
Yeah, it's like molted. The creature has molted. Yeah.
We can't doesn't I think clock it as that.
I don't know. He's like definitely clocks it though. He picks it up and looks at it and is like, mm.
Yeah, he walks over like to where the rain is coming down the most, like coming down from the thing, and just kind of has like a little like in the rain moment, like getting his face wet.
Yeah, it's
A
just been a
cool down.
stressful
Yeah.
time, and so he's getting the sweat off.
Um they like linger on that for a really long time again because we're just like waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
We hear a little noise again. It's Jones in the corner. He's about to grab him when then kind of like what looked like one of the chains is now moving and it's a tail.
Yeah.
And a creature kind of like comes up and he's like, how would you describe it?
The xenomorph?
Yeah. Penis
He's
head,
penis head, penis arms, penis legs.
yeah, with penis in the mouth, and then the penis has teeth.
It's like a big, shiny, glistening, like almost like patent leather looking creature.
Like a whale snake, BDSM, but very
Yeah.
svelte.
Slick and sleek and pointy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Perfect.
Perfect guy.
Ridley, I have an idea.
The perfect organism.
The perfect organism. So and this is our first time we're like an hour in or a little over an hour in. This is our first time seeing the famous alien. His mouth is all wet, his teeth are like silvery, and they kind of like chatter like
They're like
and it's so
exposed.
close,
Yeah.
and he's like has saliva coming down and he's all wet. Um, so Brett is obviously toast, and we see Brett's death more through like Jonesy's POV with like
Yeah,
a
the cat's
Morticia Adams like lighting over his eyes, like what?
yeah. I can't believe this.
And we did watch we watched the theatrical cut, but in the director's cut and the like bonus footage, there is a scene of like then Parker and Ripley running in at this moment, seeing that he had been like pulled up into the pipes and like
Seeing
blood
like
is
the very
dripping down.
last second of it. Yeah.
In this take, we don't get that in this version. We just get them going back and explaining it to the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lambert's like, "Do you think he's still alive?" And they're like, "No, no,
Yeah.
honey."
Well, she's like, she does concede, like, Ripley's immediate response is no. I mean, he could be, but it's,
Yeah, I don't think so.
she's basically like, it's unlikely, but she doesn't totally write off. I like that moment too, where she doesn't totally write off that he could be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which sort of is half true too.
Well, first, we'll see in a moment.
We'll see. Yeah.
Um, so they're kind of devising like, okay, he's in the airlocks, and that's how he's like getting around, and they're all and they're all connected. So if we could kind of like cut those off and trap him in a certain place.
We can lead him to be able to eject him out of the ship.
Yeah, where we shot Kane out.
Yeah.
And Parker is referring to him as like a huge son of a bitch, and Ash under his breath is like, Kane's son.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people hear it, but it is like clearly Ash is connected to this alien.
Yeah, he's humanizing it more,
So
rather than this killing machine.
yeah, so someone has to go up with the flamethrower. Ripley wants to because she's both brave and badass, but Dallas is like, no, I'll do it. Does she get to use them at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. So we cut to Dallas right before he goes in the vents. He's chit-chatting with Mother in the brain room. And he's like, okay, Google Mother, how to kill alien. And computer is like unable to compute data insufficient. And he's like, what are our chances of survival? Unable to compute anything that's asking a question about this alien. Mommy Google is like, sorry.
I've never heard of that. I don't know her.
Yeah. So he's like, well, fuck it. I'll bring my flamethrower and see what's up.
Yeah.
So he heads up to the vents. And the vents kind of like close with this like James Bondy circle that's very like cool and scary.
Yeah, like a camera.
So he's making his way through the vents. They hear the beeping and they're tracking like where the alien is at in relation to him. They're like seeing that it's getting closer and closer. It's right behind him. At one point, Dallas like puts his hand down and gets some like gooey hair gel. So we know like the alien is somewhere whereabouts just being a gooey freak. And everyone's like very like on like on the edge of their seat, and except for Ash, who is just kind of like chill because he knows alien knows what to do. He's not worried that who's gonna end up on top here. Of course, then the alien is coming closer and closer, pops up right behind Dallas, and then again we get another cut. So we very rarely see the alien like actually doing anything to
Yeah.
anybody. It's always like we cut to the mess hall area and they're like, we found his gun and there's no blood and there's no Dallas. Now, I don't know where this deleted scene comes in with the movie, but this is a fun detail that doesn't really get played out in this theatrical
It
version
might be
in the director's
director's
cut.
cut, yeah,
Because
from
I was like,
2003.
oh, because that's right. They have him like, so there's an aspect in this movie and in other ones where like sometimes the alien won't instantly kill you. He'll like have you almost like a little spider's web, like all glued up to the wall.
Yeah.
And you're like, kill me. If you're
Yeah.
ever found, you just want to be murdered.
Like
Um,
incubating other aliens, I would assume.
yeah, which I
Yeah.
think is such a fun, cool detail. I don't know why they would have cut it, especially going out of their way to say they didn't find any of his blood.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be curious to, because we have the Blu-ray, so
And it just fleshes out the creature more too. Like it is not acting, it's acting just the way that it would to survive.
we should watch the commentary.
We should.
Or if anybody has already done that,
Yeah.
let us know.
Um, so Lambert in her full out, this is crazy. I want out of here. Let's take the pot and take our chances.
Yeah.
Really, maybe the unsung queen. I mean, of course, Ripley, but also Lambert.
Yeah. Lambert is less cool about it, but
Yeah.
she's basically
Far
saying
more realistic.
similar shit. And then, but Ripley's like, we can't all fit in the escape pod.
Yeah.
So it's not happening.
And she's the leader now because she was the step below Dallas. So she's like, we have to stick together. We're sticking with Dallas's plan. You know, and then Ash is, of course, like being a little shit. And she's like, well, do you and Mother have any suggestions? And he's like, we're still collating. And she's just laughing, like, I know something's up with you. You're
Yeah.
full of shit. You're clearly not helping us. And that I don't know if you're withholding information that Mother's saying or, you know. So
Yeah.
Ripley goes to Mother to get the info firsthand. She's like, I have all the access codes to get in now.
Yeah, now that she's the
I don't need you
first officer on the ship, basically, she can go in there.
So she's like, okay, Google Mother, you know, what is this creature? What's up? And she's getting a very similar answers of like, can't tell you, no way. We see basically it culminates to like special order 937 or some numbers. You know, the Nostromo has been rerouted to new coordinates. The crew is expendable. Save this, like, bring this entity, whatever you find, to us at all costs. So she's freaking out. She puts her head back. Ash is right there, like,
it's a good mirror to when she came up to Ash earlier.
Like, you like sneaking up behind people?
Like, bitch.
Ripley's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fucking roughs them all up. Goes to the intercom instantly. She's so good.
Yeah.
She's always like thinking about other people too. She doesn't like just go, she like wants to make sure Parker and Lambert like know what the situation is.
Yeah.
But Ash locks her inside. She tries to go out another way, locks her inside. From when he got a little tousled up, his head is now leaking some milk, which isn't normal.
Some goo.
And he rips out some of Ripley's hair.
Yeah.
Which should be
criminal. Not those curls.
Not those locks. Oh my God. Her hair is so, everything about her is so perfect. It's so crazy. And at this moment, he's taken on almost like a psychotic, like he's gone full, almost serial killer.
Yeah, he's Mike Myers.
Able to like pick her up with like strength that she's like
taller
a fucking woman, and he's a little bitch. And he's
Bilbo Baggins.
Bilbo Baggins tossing the most beautiful woman that's ever lived besides Caitlin around.
Yep.
And like just standing over her body. Parker and Lambert, because they did hear the alert, are managed to show up and they're like roughing him around. Parker then is like gets some type of weapon.
Well, this is the little station where you do see all the porno pictures are like cut out behind. And Ash is like holding Ripley down there.
Oh, that's right.
And so it's a very, I mean, because you haven't really seen this like little cutouts of like pornographic pictures or whatever before. I guess you see like at one point, the one mechanic has a like porno mag when he's like waiting to see something. But like, it's interesting to make that attack in this area where Ash is like trying to
Yeah, well, not
shut her
only
up.
that, he rolls
He
up the
rolls up a
porno mag.
magazine, tries to jam it into her mouth.
Doesn't try, pretty much succeeds. And then it's kind of like reminiscent of the face hugger where like
Yeah.
it's in her mouth and she's but then that's when, sorry, the crew comes in and saves her.
Then Parker comes in with a fire extinguisher and like bangs Ash on the head really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like kind of
So hard
fucks
that
him
his
up,
head
comes off his
comes
body.
off his body and all of his Bobot parts come out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he did not know this. Ash was a robot the whole
Yeah, he was a
time.
synthetic.
He didn't love science, he loved his programming. Which I guess in part
He
is
doesn't love anything.
yeah, he doesn't love anything. Milk inside, little balls of,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's such a cool thing. Like their like version of a synthetic like completely realistic humanoid robot.
And no one has mentioned robots at this point,
Yeah.
or that, of course, like then when you go to aliens, there's a whole like if they're good or bad, and everyone has opinions. But at this time, this is another, if you were seeing it for the first time, you'd be
Reveal.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But of course, there's robots in the future. They just didn't have to spell it out because they just trusted that the
Don't know
audience.
why they even have humans on the ship in the first place if they have like fully capable humanoid
Maybe it's
robots.
cheaper.
Yeah, yeah, maybe it's cheaper, yeah.
That's if it's a company, that's all I can
That's
think.
actually all the explanation I
That's
need.
all I need.
Yeah.
So they're like wondering, why did the company send a robot? The robot has now been destroyed, but Ripley's like, maybe he'll be able to help us kill this alien.
Yeah, maybe he
So
knows. So she props his head up.
in a sick ass scene. Yeah, his body is like on the table one way, and then his head is like right next to his body, but facing the other way. And we've got the classic, like the head is under a table, but they just do it so well. Like there's a bunch of goo and like robot parts coming out, and it just looks so sick.
It's a really cool way to even make the robot organic,
Yeah.
to make it have all these weird little like tubes and bladders and stuff where I guess, and he was drinking that like nutrient goo fuel, whatever he was drinking before.
That's right. It
Yeah,
was
the milk.
nutrient goo.
Yeah,
Milk.
that's what he's full of.
So they're kind of like, what's your special order? They're trying to get answers out of him, and he is so sassy in this. I love Ash in this
He's
scene.
great. He's
He's
great. This
basically
actor's
like,
great.
didn't you read it? I thought you knew. And then he has these like super poetic, just like talking about this alien essentially. You can't kill it. You don't understand. It's a perfect organism. And he says he admires its purity.
Yeah, Lambert's like, you admire it.
Yeah.
In like a disgusted way. And he's, yeah.
I admire its purity. A survivor unclouded by conscience or delusions of morality, which is a business.
Yeah.
It was programmed
Which is
by
for the company.
Tesla, Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Delusions of morality. Yeah. When it comes to money, morality is a delusion.
Yeah.
Oh, and then his final line is essentially like, I can't tell you your chances, but you have my sympathies. Like he just knows.
He's like,
yeah,
yeah.
little asshole.
Motherfucker.
And then right before they leave, Parker has the flamethrower and he just goes to town flaming Ash up.
Yeah, he burns the fucking shit out of it. He like incinerates.
That makes that, I don't want to ruin
spoilers for the new alien.
The new alien. Okay, now that you've gone away. He's whole and intact and not burnt up in that one. Yeah. And they use him so, in my opinion, disgustingly, because that actor is also no longer with us.
Yeah, it's ghoulish in a way that is
for a movie
despicable.
That is about, the entire thesis is about corporate greed.
Yeah.
To then drag up this person, I know literally like his family said it was okay, but that's still not.
It's not consent from the actor.
Yeah.
You don't have the actual actor. It's like, it really is starting to become so gross where it's like, I mean, I know, I guess now it's like you kind of sign away your face, even for some SAG actors, some of their auditions. When you go to
a concert, you got to give them your face now.
Yeah. You like take a picture of your face to like verify your identity or whatever. It's like, just becomes like kind of creepy. And yeah, especially for the movie to make money off of this guy who is dead. It's like, it's very, like, necromancy, kinda, like, nasty fucking
Yeah.
vampiric bullshit. Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
It absolutely sucks.
All right, back to the good alien. Back to
Yeah.
Alien on this ship.
Yeah.
So Parker and Lambert are going and grabbing oxygen tanks from, I don't know, the oxygen tank room. They're getting ready to blow shit up. Ripley's like in the cockpit finishing up her emails, doing whatever she's got to do before she leaves.
Mhm.
And then she
Yeah,
sees
deleting her
like
search history.
a little movement, and it's Jonesy.
Yeah.
It's not a little penis monster, and she can't leave him behind, which again is why we love Ripley.
Yeah.
Um, so she's able to kind of like get him, and she's a little pissed off at him too,
It's
though.
like,
She's like,
"Jonesy."
"You can't be jump scaring
Yeah.
when we're in the middle of a haunted house with an alien, all right?" And she puts him in his carrier.
Yeah.
It was so cute. Um, but back at the oxygen room, Lambert and Parker are toast because the alien is there. And the alien, of course, goes after the two of them. Parker's so cool because he is trying to save Lambert the whole
Yeah, he's
time.
like, "Get out of the way, Lambert,"
The
so he
alien
can try to
kind of going
blast him.
towards her, yeah.
But she's frozen with fear. I mean, it's like the scariest thing you've ever seen.
Which is exactly what you would do.
Yeah.
If you'd be like, ah, ah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's like if you were confronted with a giant animal that's like a crazy it's a fucking monster that's killed all of your friends so far. Like, it makes sense that she would freeze up. She's like the navigator of the ship. She's not a fucking, I think in the second one they explore that too, where it's like even the most badass commando Marines
yeah.
get killed by this thing.
Which
So it's
is
like,
yeah.
you know,
I love the second one too.
yeah, second
This
one
one's
rules.
really cool too, or just like our final three in the film because it's our two women and our one person of color, Parker.
Yeah.
Which it is always the kind of the trope of like the black person dies first or the women, and or there's just one final girl.
Mhm.
So I thought it was cool that these are our final ones to go. The same thing happened in the third Freddy Krueger we just watched.
In Dream Warriors?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are of course like the exceptions to the rules, but it's cool when you see it in older movies.
Yeah.
So they are both toast, and it's really sad
Until they're killed
because
right now.
yeah, until they're killed right now.
Yeah.
But they made it pretty far. We
Yeah.
get to the end, and it's scary because Ripley is like trying to go down and help them, and she can hear again. We don't see them die; we hear their screams like over this intercom, which
Yeah.
is I'm sure so sad for her because not only are her friends dying, but now I am the last one. It's just me,
She couldn't help them,
Jonesy.
and yeah, and now it's just her and the cat.
So we got our final girl, but she's still gonna go with the plans to blow it up. So she goes to the self-destruct box.
Yeah,
These
to, like, the
different ones.
area of the ship.
It's kind of like a briefcase with like different like little screws that then have like these tubes come up. All just future science shit that she makes all the tubes come up, and it's like 10 minutes until explosion time. You only will have 5 minutes to make this not happen. This will be relevant later.
I wa If we ever have, like, voice controls in our, like, cars, I'm like, "You gotta record them." "Okay, explosion time's coming up,
Okay,
everybody.
all right, it's our big finale.
It's me, robot."
So she sets that all off. She's ready to go. She grabs Jonesy, and the hallways now. This is like our super. Every haunted house has ripped this off. I feel, or is this? It's just like the smoke coming through the lights. She's
Yeah.
running, running, running. Of course, she comes face to face with,
Well, she's,
or
like,
not
around
face
the
to face.
corner.
Yeah,
She, like, can see it, like,
yeah.
looming, and so she kinda, like,
So
drops Jones and sort of gets the hell out of there.
and then this part, so then she goes back to the self-destruct box. I'm assuming because the alien is in the way of her in the pod, and she knows
Yes.
I'm gonna need more time. This can't
Yes.
blow up.
Yes.
Because the ship is huge too. So the pod has to get pretty far away for
Yeah.
this huge explosion that's about to happen. So she goes back, but of course the machine thing is like, I told you. It was 5 minutes and now it's
Yeah,
4:59.
yeah.
Self-destruct
So
will
she, like, turns it
happen.
off, but it's 1 second too late, so it's like, "Oh, well, I have to get to the pod."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes down the hall, just these sick, like orange and blues, like the way that the lights are
The strobe lights are
going.
crazy, yeah.
She is able to get Jonesy, or the alien, as she leaves, we see a shot of the alien like seeing Jonesy, but he doesn't go, or in that moment, we don't know what happens. In the
Yeah.
extended cut, we see it kind of move Jonesy almost out of the way. or like set it up to be like it's I think it's supposed to be thinking like one step ahead. Like I see that she is connected to this thing, so I'll use it
Yeah, I guess it
as
depends
bait.
how much you think of it having, yeah, an awareness
Well, I think
of
it's a
that.
perfect organism, so yeah, I think that it would have an awareness.
I think you're right.
But she
She
manages
knows
to
that
get
she'll come back.
Jonesy, go into the pod, have the pod go away. Of course, 30 seconds left. The pod is leaving. We get this really fun countdown from 30 to 1, 3, 2, 1. Biggest explosion you've ever
Yeah.
seen. It's like the death of a star that just keeps
Whatever material
happening.
they were mining must have been very explosive.
Highly flammable.
Yeah.
They should not have been smoking on that ship.
No.
That should have been rule number one. And,
Should have been wetter in there.
and she's like, I got you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
She's in her pod now. Jonesy's such a good boy. She gives him a big hug,
Yeah.
puts him in his little pod. It's bedtime. Perfect little kitty.
Yeah.
Then she's got to get ready for bedtime too. So she takes off all of her stuff. She's in her little undies and
Like a little shirt.
tank top. We get our third big shocking reveal. She was doing all of this braless.
Yeah. Which, as we talked about in the craft, if there was
Yeah,
ever any
never
emergency,
holding. Ah, God. But that's why she is Ripley.
yeah.
Um, she is like getting ready for her bedtime. Because she's gonna like just float around, essentially like going in one direction, hoping a ship will pick her up, but she's gonna freeze herself in the
Yeah,
meantime.
she's sort of on a trajectory to go closer to like the system that where she would probably be seen.
Yeah, Uranus. She goes to flip some space switches.
Hmm.
Of course, the alien is
Yeah,
there.
she sees it moving.
This is the only like part where I think the movie's kind of silly because he's like, I guess it's scary, but the longer you look at it, it's silly. He's like hidden like in like a part of the wall. Like there's a bunch of like
And he does blend
tubes
in there
and
really well,
he does.
but he
But then once you
moves.
see him, you really see him.
Yeah.
And he's just waiting like,
But then he's sort of like, once she sees him move a little bit, she sort of like is alert and then goes, but stays pretty cool and goes over to another section of the pod where she can still see him through a little glass.
yeah.
And she can see him kind of like moving around. But it makes me wonder why he doesn't come out right away.
I
And
guess he's waiting for her to come out to him. She's like slowly putting on this space suit that
yeah,
she happens to be next to. She puts on a helmet and she like slowly goes over to him and is singing this like kind of like little lullaby song, You Are My Lucky Star,
yeah,
which you don't get any of her backstory in this, but we know in the second one, which is in another deleted scene, but that she has
a
a
daughter.
daughter who then when she gets picked up in the second one, her daughter, she finds out had died like 2 years before at the age of like 60 something. Of course, Ripley looks like she's
She's frozen.
28, hot as hell. Her
Yeah.
daughter wouldn't have wanted to see her anyway. Like, I'm old now. You're still so fucking
I
old.
should have froze
I
myself.
should have froze myself. Um, but I wondered in this viewing, I was like, oh, is that like a lullaby that she would sing to her daughter? Was there like backstory? There's no other reason or explanation why this particular song, but she's like singing it, getting herself ready.
For luck, I guess. Yeah. Or she could be thinking of her daughter and being like, yeah.
Yeah. She then hits the space button. The thing shoots open, and the alien gets like,
He's like holding on to the doorway.
yeah,
And then she takes a little harpoon and she shoots him with it. But then, of course, the harpoon is connected to like a wire, a cord. And so he's kind of like grabs the cord, comes back to the ship, starts crawling into the engine, like
yeah,
exhaust. And then she fucking just punches the engine. So it's like blasting energy and heat at the alien.
lights his ass up.
Lights his ass up.
Then he floats off into space.
Yeah.
She gives a final report, third officer reporting, other members, and of course, because she's the most thoughtful woman, she names every single person, and says that they're all dead. She doesn't mention any of like the crossing with like Ash or anything with the alien. I'm sure because she assumes maybe it'll be one of the company ships that picks me up.
Yeah, and if it's the company and she knows too much, then
They'll kill
they'll
her.
kill her. So, yeah.
The cargo ship was destroyed, and now it's bedtime, and she floats through space.
Yeah.
The
The
alien.
Alien. It rules.
So good.
What a good movie.
So good.
Scariness. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's hard because I've seen it so many times. I don't think I sit watching now like nail biting.
No.
Certainly the first time I saw it, very scary. And just the way that it's done is so, it's more now just impressed by how it scares. Like it's kind of does a lot with a little. Like you think you spend more time with the alien, but you don't. You really only see it
Because
like,
you feel its presence, like even when it's not on the screen, because it's such a thing of like it can blend in with the environment, and the environment is so busy, and there could be things around every corner, and it's claustrophobic in every corner, you know. So I think that its presence is felt even when it's not on screen a
yeah.
lot. I think the scariness in this, in watching it as an adult, comes from a company not giving a flying fuck about you getting hurt and letting
Yeah.
you die. And you have no choice because you have to get paid to like go along with it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's scary how much I relate to like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I guess I gotta go check out this ship. That'll be my doom
Yeah, that's kind of the scary
if
part.
it comes with a paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just for craft, for but I would give it I'll give it like a 3.5, 4 on scary. I'm
Out
not
of 5.
personally scared. I think it's just perfectly done. It's like impossible not to be impressed by.
Yeah.
But I guess that also goes into then quality of film.
5 out of 5 for sure.
6, 7 out of 5.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
It's awesome.
it's really Ridley. Listen, Gladiator.
Okay.
I love Gladiator.
It's fine. I don't know if I necessarily put that in, but
It's
that's
a different
it's Ridley,
vibe.
right? It's Ridley Scott, so that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
It's a we're so
sorry, I'm sorry.
We are about to die. Salute you. We who are about to die. Salute you. Are you not entertained?
Yeah.
I love it.
I guess that's a similar thing of like a giant, the powers that be forcing people to be killed for their own benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a crow hoe.
Card carrying crow hoe. That's what your back tattoo says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, and I just think it's so like such a simple movie. Like when I was about to take the notes, I was almost like, I don't know if I'll have much to say, but it's like the story and plot is simple, but it's so dense and like rich and like
the world is so detailed and it's just really cool. It's like a unique world. The way that they do the synthetics is really cool. The alien itself is incredible.
And Ripley,
she's fucking awesome.
Is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
When it comes to, and that they made the next one an action one, and she gets to be an action star.
Sigourney Weaver's just the shit.
She is the shit. And when you watch Ghostbusters, especially 2,
they do her dirty in 2.
They do her so dirty.
Maybe she was like, I'll do it, but only if I'm on set for like 3 days or something. Like, I don't know why they give her just so little to do.
Bill Murray is her love interest. I can't. It'll make me sick, throw up, die, and kill myself.
Yeah.
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 Any last thoughts?
No, that's pretty much it. I love it so much. I want to watch the commentary right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna go watch the commentary. Thank you for listening to our commentary.
Yeah.
And thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye.